everybody. This is Miss Margaret from the Chattanooga Public Library. This is Preschool Storytime, and it's for kids 3 to 5-year-olds. But if you're younger or older, come on in. You know what we're going to talk about today? We're going to talk about dragons. Oh, you won't believe all the good books about dragons. I bet you've heard about Dragons Love Tacos, and Dragons Love Tacos too. There's just all kind of dragon books. Let me show you some of these. I'm not going to read all of them. This is How to Dress a Dragon. Look at those big underwear. This is Dragon Meets Boy. That's a new one. And I'm going to read Dragon Was Terrible. And then there's a dragon in your book. So here we go. Are you ready to listen? This book that I'm going to start with is Dragon Was Terrible by Kelly Puccio, and it's put out by Farrar Straus Giroux, New York. Oh, he was terrible. Dragon was terrible. Naturally, dragons have a bit of terrible in them because they're dragons after all. But this dragon here, super terrible. He stomped on flowers. He played tricks on the guards. And he spit on cupcakes. Who does that? Dragons, that's who. That's not all. He scribbled in books. Oh! He threw sand and he took candy from baby unicorns. Honestly, that's terrible. The king had had enough. Enough, he said. And he posted this sign. Beware, brave knights. Whoever shall tame the terrible dragon shall be rewarded with a gift. It shall be a nice gift. Ye shall like it. Signed His Royal Majesty the King. Somebody down here had written, Dragon was here. Knights lined up to show off their dragon taming skills. They all failed miserably, and Dragon just grew more terrible. He chased fuzzy yellow ducklings around the moat. He TP'd the castle that's toilet papered. Don't get any ideas. And he burned every last royal marshmallow to a blackened crisp. The villagers had had enough. Enough, they said. And they posted this sign. Brave people, whoever shall tame this terrible dragon shall be rewarded with a gift from the king. It shall be a nice gift, we hope. You shall like it. Signed, His Royal Majesty. And it says, Dragon was here again. Ordinary blokes and lassies lined up to try their hand at taming that dragon. They all failed, embarrassingly so. And just when you thought it wasn't possible, Dragon grew even more terrible. He popped birthday balloons. He drew funny faces on the drawbridges. And he burped in church. Loudly. Honestly, that's terrible and rude. A boy wearing a feathered cap and a look of determination had had enough. Only he didn't say enough like you thought he would. Instead, he sketched a story. The next day, Dragon followed a trail of marshmallows to a shady tree where the boy was reading. Aha! The boy spied the dragon out of the corner of his eye and began to read aloud in a booming voice. And then the brave dragon swooped in to save the princess, he said. Dragon stopped in his tracks. But the terrible knight pulled out his wicked sword. Dragon pretended not to listen. The brave dragon roared, and the fraidy cat knight trembled in his boots. Dragon pretended to walk away. A crowd began to gather, and Dragon took cover in a tree. The boy continued reading page after page after page until... Snap! Crash! Dragon landed on the ground with a terrible thud. The crowd gasped. The dragon roared. The clever boy didn't flinch. He reached out a hand to the dragon and said, "Would you like to hear how the story ends?" And just when you thought it wasn't possible, Dragon smiled. And he took a seat beneath the tree with the other children. Honestly, that's adorable. The king cheered, the villagers cheered, the baby unicorn and fuzzy ducklings cheered the loudest of all. At long last, the terrible dragon had been tamed. The end. Hey, what? Hey, wait, what about the reward? Oh, yeah, that. The gift was a new friend. A nice dragon, of course. The end. I like that story. And Craig Pizzoli did the pictures, and I really like his pictures. Dragon was terrible. Okay, this one is by Tom Fletcher. There's a dragon in your book. Illustrated by Greg Abbott, and it's put out by Random House. There's a dragon in your book, and there's an egg cracking. Oh, look, there's an egg in your book. It looks ready to hatch. Whatever you do, don't turn the page. I'm going to turn the page. I can't believe you did that. The egg hatched, and now there's a dragon in your book. Don't be scared. It's a baby dragon. Go ahead and tickle her little nose. Tickle, tickle, tickle. Chew. Can you make that sound? Chew. Oops. The dragon accidentally sneezed a fire in your book. We need to put it out quickly. Help dragon blow out the flame. Can you help me do that? And turn the page. Oh no, your dragon didn't blow out the fire. She blew more fire. Carefully cover the flames by turning the page and tap them down. That should put them out. Oh no, it didn't work. They're getting bigger. Don't get too close. If only we could think of a way to put out this fire. That's it. Let's use your imagination to put out the fire. Imagine a great big water balloon right in the middle of the next page. Make sure it's full and ready to pop. Perfect. Now use your finger to pop the balloon and get ready for the splash. Wow. Hooray, you put out fire. Give the dragon a high five. You have a great imagination, and dragon must be a little hungry now. Why don't you use your imagination again and think up a yummy treat for her? How about a triple scoop of yummy ice-cold chocolate and strawberry ice cream with sprinkles? Wow, that looks delicious. Yum. Well, dragon must be tired after all that adventure. I think it's time for her to fly home. She's probably very full. She's going to need some help taking off. Flap the book up and down like giant dragon wings. Is that right? Is that right, Miss Brooke?
I think so.
Like giant dragon wings. Almost there. Keep flapping. It's hard to read and flap at the same time. There she goes. Goodbye, dragon. Wave goodbye. And then, hang on a second. What's this? Oh, look. More eggs. Whatever you do, don't turn the page. Oh, I cannot turn it. Uh-oh. I think it's time to close the book carefully. Did you like that, Miss Brooke?
I like that.
Okay. This is Dizzy Dragon. He's got some crazy eyes, doesn't he? By funny faces. Got those big old eyeballs. One little dragon baby wiggled his way out. He hatched from his shell and swished his tail about. Oh, he's cute. Let's see. Griff the dragon spread his wings and flies through the skies. He has a big horn on his face, right beneath his eyes. He sure does. He's red, isn't he? This one's green. Gina dragon is enormous, with spikes pointed and pink. Her teeth are sharp and scary, but she has a friendly wink. Fiery Frank loves sausages, pan-fried and grilled or roasted. Flame-grilled are his favorite. He likes them nicely toasted. Oh, hot dogs. Hugo is the Dragon King who rules this magic land. He lives with his Dragon Queen in a castle that is grand. The end. All the eyes go all the way through the book. So how many you see we saw the baby? And who was next? Griff. And then Gina. And then Fiery Frank. And then the king, Hugo. Very good. You got a good memory. Okay. Through here. How to Dress a Dragon by Thelma, Lynn, Godin. Put out by Scholastic Press. If you have to dress a dragon, you must be prepared to catch him as he flies by. You may have to tickle-tackle him to the floor and give him belly kisses. Once your dragon is still, it will be time to put on his underwear. The good thing is, dragons love underwear, especially froggy superhero ones. Who knew? Silly dragon. Put it on his head. You know, wear your underwear on your head. You might have to saddle your dragon to put on his socks. Dragons have very ticklish toes. Silly dragon. Look where he's got his socks. Dragons do not like shirts with buttons. Dragons do not like shirts that pull over their heads. Well, the problem is his horns and stuff, right? Dragons do not like shirts. But they do like capes. Ooh. Dragons prefer shorts instead of pants. Shorts are much easier to put on with big dragon feet. Can imagine. Shoes can be tricky. Please, dragon, don't scrunch up your toes. But if you let your dragon wear his froggy boots, he will be very happy. He must like frogs. He's clapping his hands. Dragons are very picky about hats. They will only wear ones that fit nicely between their horns. Well, I don't blame him one bit. When your dragon is all dressed, he will want to go outside and play. But beware, if he wants to play his favorite game of Dragon and Knight, your dragon will insist on being the silly knight. And the little boy's the dragon. And now they're up, reading and looking at the moon, but the lady's calling the police or calling somebody on them. I like that book. Look at all those underwear. You ever seen so many pairs of underwear? There you go. Okay. This flannel board is Good Night, based on the book by Shelley Moore Thomas. Once there was a good knight. Every night he kept watch over the kingdom with his trusty sword. One night the good knight was on his watch, and he heard a very large, very loud roar. So the good knight ran in the direction of the roar until he came to a very small dragon. Being brave, the good knight yielded his sword and said, "What's this? Methinks it's a dragon." But the very small dragon said, "Oh, good, you've come. Could you bring me a glass of water, please? Then tuck me into bed so I can go to sleep." The good knight did not know what to think, but he was a good knight, so he got a drink of water and tucked the dragon into bed. Good night, good dragon. Sleep well, sleep tight, said the good knight, and then he returned to the castle. He stood on watch for 5 minutes. Then he heard another very large, very loud roar. So the good knight ran in the direction of the roar until he came to a medium-sized dragon. Being brave, the good knight yielded his sword and said, "What's this? Methinks it is a dragon." But the medium-sized dragon said, "Oh, good, you have come. Could you read me a story, please? Then tuck me into bed so I can go to sleep." The good knight did not know what to think, but he was a good knight. So he read a story and tucked the dragon into bed. "Good night, good dragon. Sleep well, sleep tight," said the good knight, and then he returned back to the castle. He stood on watch for 5 minutes. Then he heard another very large, very loud roar. So the good knight ran in the direction of the roar until he came to a very big dragon. Being brave, the knight yielded his sword and said, "What's this? Methinks it is a dragon." But the very big dragon said, "Oh, good, you've come. Could you sing me a song, please? Then tuck me into bed so I can go to sleep." The good knight did not know what to think, but he was a good knight, so he sang a song. "Go to bed, little dragon, rest your head on your pillow." So he sang a song and tucked the dragon into bed. "Good night, good dragon. Sleep well, sleep tight," said the good knight, and then he returned back to the castle. He stood on watch for 5 minutes when he heard 3 very large, very loud roars. "Not again," he said. "I have tucked all 3 dragons into bed. What more could they want?" So the good knight ran to the dragons one last time. "Let me guess," said the good knight. "Another drink of water?" "No," said the first dragon. "Another story?" said the second Another story? "No," said the second dragon. "Another song?" "No," said the third dragon. "Then what do you want?" cried the good knight. "We need a good night kiss," said the dragons, and they lifted their scaly little cheeks, and the good knight said, "This is going too far." But he was a good knight, so he bent and kissed each scaly little cheek. "Good night, good dragons. Sleep well, sleep tight," he said. The dragons said, "Good night, good night." And with that, the dragons finally fell to sleep. Good night. I hope you like my dragon stories. Bye-bye.